What's going on, everyone? Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. The Dodgers have the best record in baseball. All-star voting is underway. And what moves will be made at the trade deadline? All that and more coming up next. Hello again and welcome back. Anthony and I are your co-hosts tonight. And before we get started, we're going to tell you about DodgersBeat.com. Stay up to date and in the know with all the latest coverage of the LA Dodgers. It is your one stop for articles, interviews, contests, merch, and more. Never miss a beat and check out DodgersBeat.com. Oh my God, Anthony, I feel like I haven't seen you in 300 years. How are you? Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm happy Mexico won. I'm happy my vacation went very smoothly. The only negative part, rain. Rain was kind of on and off, but I wasn't gonna let that kind of hamper my mood. I can play through all elements, whether it's hot, cold, sunny, sunshine, or rainy. For me, it was a once in a lifetime experience. I said it. I mentioned it prior in an old podcast. There's a lot of fun stuff happening over the next couple years. It
Yeah.
started with the WBC. It's picked up with the World Cup and the Olympics in 2 years' time. That there's no excuse to not kind of experience it because you never know when you're going to experience something like this ever happening again. So I've been taking it all in. The WBC was kind of like a precursor to the madness that is the World Cup that's happening right now. And I hate to say it, but the Dodgers have kind of fallen behind a little bit. They're dominating on the field, but I think most of the people's attention is kind of on soccer itself and growing the game and stuff like that. And hopefully, because there's a lot of news about a potential lockout, MLB sees the popularity of people being introduced to the sport, that they capitalize on it and don't do something dumb and lock these players out at the end of the season. So hopefully they see all the positive news, all the people coming together, celebrating the game they love. You saw a little bit of it in the WBC, and like they just don't stop that momentum. Just keep growing the game positively.
I mean, how lucky did we get this year to have the WBC, which was just the highlight of every single day? You got to go and see that in Houston, and you got to go to Mexico. So I want to hear these highlights. But for those of you who are our viewers, we're filming this later on, on the in the evening because we wanted to watch Mexico, who just beat South Korea, our compadres. We love them, but we had to beat them tonight, and we are moving on to the round of 32. So we are going to get into Dodgers talk, but we know there's a lot of crossover in our fan base. So I just want to get just the highlights, Anthony, because I've been waiting to hear what was like, you touched down in Mexico. Talk to me. What was it like over there? And what was the energy like? Because it looked from here amazing.
Yeah, the energy again, it's hard to describe it because you kind of just have to be there. It's similar to when I talked about the Mexico playing the US in the WBC is probably the loudest I've ever been in an arena where I was physically just sitting there and I could barely hear myself think. It was kind of just a crossover of two worlds where I described it again as it's weird seeing fans of opposing teams kind of unite together under one cloud, under one flag. The energy was unreal. There was some downsides, but I think it was kind of more just it was just overcrowded a little bit. But I think this kind of like the hot spot. I'm gonna go to a few other locations here in LA. I'll be at the Pier next week. I'll actually be at a game on Sunday. I'm gonna go watch Belgium versus Iran. So I think it's just kind of like I've never experienced a World Cup on our soil and in Mexico as well too. You've always kind of just viewed from abroad, and finally that it's now in your own backyard, literally in your own backyard. I'll be at the pier next week. It's such a unique experience to kind of see everyone kind of like happy. That doesn't tend to be the case like in your normal day to day stuff as you're doing whatever you need to do to like kind of move on. People are kind of happy. Everyone's kind of in a cheerful mood. The only time that everyone's kind of in a cheerful mood tends to be towards the end of the year, the holidays. I feel like the holidays kind of a lot of people kind of unwind, even though there's like a lot of craziness in people's families and stuff like that. But you tend to have a lot of events and stuff going around the holidays, and it's kind of like, okay, let's kind of put the year behind us. Let's start the cliche of like new year, new me. Let's start fresh. But overall, it feels weird that typically during the summer, this is kind of when we lock in specifically like on the Dodgers, like it's baseball season. Like let's focus on guys, the RAs, what should we do in the situation, this, and that. And it's kind of taking a back burner a little bit. I know there's a lot of people who don't care at all about soccer, but it's weird because it's not the time of year where it's it's fully just baseball. You have a lot of avenues to kind of find yourself entertained with all sorts of stuff. It feels like it's kind of circling. It's been like one giant party since November when we clinched, and we just kind of been pushing it forward, pushing it forward, pushing it forward. Every time you get distracted by the stresses of life, there's just like a new event that's thrown in your face. Like, oh, you can go de-stress for a little while and go enjoy yourself for a few hours here at this location.
I think that's true. And I've been kind of wondering if that's other people's experience. I tend to kind of been finding myself diving into the all the international folks who are coming to the United States and experiencing our NFL stadiums. Obviously, we are ready. We watch NFL. We know kind of how grand they are. But there seems to be kind of like a waking up, so to speak, of maybe the stuff we all hear on the news isn't exactly reality. We're all more alike than we're different. And just to be able to tap into other cultures, it's like we're having a giant sleepover and we don't want it to end. And it's absolutely fun and makes the world feel like it doesn't always have to be so serious and negative all the time. And I really do like this feeling. And I think there's something about sports, and I think you feel this way because that's why we do this podcast. There's something about that that's takes you out of your day-to-day grind, your day-to-day issues, and we all have them, but it makes you feel like, we connect to something that is just, where we all find common ground and we see the best in people. And, the people that are sitting next to us may not look like us, but they're just like us. And I love this feeling. So I don't want it to end. I'm so happy for Mexico. I am going for I'm multicultural, my family. So yes, I'm also rooting for the US. I know there's a debate on, can you root for more than one country? Yes, you can. People do have more than one culture in their family, but Mexico is my number one love. I'm obsessed with them. Anthony, are we making it past round of 16 this year?
Man, I hope so. It's kind of That's always where it kind of goes wrong is the round of 16. I'm not gonna get too excited, just because I've had my heart broken in spectacular fashion in previous iterations of the World Cup. So I'm kind of just taking it day by day, game by game. I'm happy they've secured it, and I'm hopeful because the next game is, I don't want to say it's meaningless, but you're not playing for anything. You're kind of just saving
Right.
yourself from injury and stuff like that. I hope you kind of give him the send off that he deserves. I hope Memo Ochoa is able to
Mhm.
go out there, play his last 90 minutes as a professional player, barring any injury and stuff like that. I'm hopeful. That's very much basically what I have left. I'm hopeful everything goes well and whatever happens from there. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, I'll be a very sore loser about it personally, privately. But I'll kind of move on and just keep the party rooting and just keep watching soccer until it's our time to be eliminated and it's time to focus back on the Dodgers, basically.
Yeah, no, we'll focus on the Dodgers today, but definitely it's big news worldwide and globally, and it's just so much fun to get to experience that. Did you get a chance to watch any baseball games while you were in Mexico?
Actually, the game I was supposed to go to got rained out, but I think the next day, the only Dodger game that I was actually able to catch was actually the pitchers duel between Eric Lauer and Paul Skeens. Even though that game kind of like went out the haywire towards the end of it, that was the only game I was able to watch.
Okay.
From a perspective of like watching internationally, it just doesn't make sense to me. Again, this is going back to like MLB shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Why was I blacked out? I'm in a different country. Like, why wasn't I not allowed to watch my team play in Mexico? It just didn't make any sense to me. I thought that's what the purpose that brought my iPad was like, okay, like we're not going to be out and exploring the city throughout the whole time. Like maybe I'll be able to catch a few games here late at night. It was raining as well too, so once it was like downpouring, we were just staying inside the house. I'm like, all right, perfect. Wi-Fi's good. Let me set up my tablet, watch the games, and then when I load up my apps, I'm sorry, you're not able to watch it in your region. Again, why are we? Why is this even a thing? Why does it exist? So that's really like one of the pet peeves I had of like, I can't believe I can't watch the Dodgers. I had to go through other ways. I'm not gonna incriminate those ways, but I was able to watch at least one game, and I was following along on the YouTube every time new interviews dropped. It's not the same though because you're not really watching from day to day, and you're reading articles and stuff like that, but you don't really get that feel of like, okay, I kind of get an idea of what happened in this game, but you don't get the in and outs of like, okay, why did he come to that decision? So it's kind of awkward, and that kind of gives me a new perspective on like, I know our fan base is mostly Japanese, so they kind of have to deal with this all the time. They kind of go through all sorts of avenues just to get news and information, and just to be able to watch these guys play. And I might be taking advantage of it. Sometimes I'm like, I really don't want to watch this game against the Rockies and like June or July, I think I can skip this game. And now that I really wanted to watch them, I wasn't able to. And I'm like, okay, well, got to do this the old fashioned way. Just got to read articles and watch YouTube clips and try to get an idea of what's going on.
He didn't miss much. I mean, they played the D-backs, they played the Pirates, like, they played the Angels. I'll give like the highlights because I watch, every game. But yeah, I'm kind of liking that my attention isn't completely 100% locked into the Dodgers because, I mean, the truth is I know they're going to go to the playoffs. I hate to say it. I hate to take it for granted, but we know that if they lose and drop a game here and there, it was going to happen. I'm not stressed out. I've been way more locked into soccer. And of course, the NBA Finals was closing out when you were gone. So that was kind of fun to watch. Okay, yeah. So all the good news. We'll start off at the top. We are the number one team in baseball, Anthony. We have leapfrogged the Braves, 48-27, currently the absolute best. And it is actually through the first 60 games. We had the best record we've had since the Seager days, since we won in 2020. So we're actually doing quite amazing. But yeah, split the series with the D-backs, nothing crazy. But Ohtani is a big, kind of one of the bigger stories. He's done 2 starts since you left. And the one before this last one, he had the craziest ERA in baseball. I think it was like 0.74, gone up a little bit because he had a rough outing. But I think the big news is that he has a blister that he kind of has been fighting through. And he is kind of in a tight locked race with the other Cy Young candidates who look like, oh my God. And if that's kind of what he's been wanting to kind of go for, which we suspect that that's what he was locked into, he would literally need to pitch damn near close to perfect for the rest of the season in order for that to be a possibility. So kind of my thoughts to you, since I kind of want to just take it to Ohtani for a second, obviously always the unicorn, best player to ever walk the face of the earth in terms of baseball, no doubt there. But should he even be considering where we're at in the season? We're going into the second half. We know about injuries. You saw what happened. Mike Trout's on injury today. Judge is injured. Ohtani, he's not a spring chicken. Young still, but not that young. Do we want to preserve him? Because the reality of it is we want him ready for October. So what's your take on Ohtani still going for the Cy Young?
So I mentioned it earlier on in the year. It was going to come down to, can he keep up with those horses that we know are Cy Young, perennial Cy Young contenders, whether it's Christopher Sanchez, Paul Skeens, you name them, all of them. It's going to come down to, can he keep up? And for a while, he was doing a very good job of keeping up. But now it's kind of getting towards that time where I think a conversation has to be had between him, the front office, Dave Roberts, Mark Pryor, and
Mhm.
basically say, okay, how much longer do you really want to chase it? And if he comes to a conclusion, I'm like, can I get to the All-Star break? I think I'm willing to let him go to the All-Star break. Kind of chasing that kind of quote unquote perfection. I know Yamamoto was almost perfect, but
Mhm.
unfortunately wasn't. For me, I think that's kind of the leeway I give him. I'm like, okay, the All-Star break, because then after the All-Star break, you can regroup. You can look at what your team needs, because the trade deadline will be right around the corner. You'll be like, okay, here's our areas of strengths, here's our areas of weaknesses. Do we have to pursue a trade? I know we've been linked to a lot of names over the past couple weeks. A few of them are more interesting than others. I'll say that. For me, though, I think the leeway is the All-Star break. I give them up to that. If the blister really is an issue, then I kind of cut that leash short and be like, okay, if it's really hampering you and you have to potentially miss starts here and there, we'll skip you once or twice throughout the rotation. I think I'm kind of more leaning towards, okay, if it's really hampering him, I don't really need you going out there and kind of pitching through it. I rather it heal naturally. Rich Hill has ways of healing blisters. Oddly enough, I won't go further into detail, but maybe they hit up Rich Hill for his method and stuff like that. But ultimately, I think it's Otani's decision. But I think he's going to lean towards like, okay, I gave it my best go. There's no point in chasing this. Let's try to refocus and regroup for the second half of the season.
Yeah, I don't mind resting him. If that's the conclusion they come to. If anything, it doesn't bother me right now that Snell's taking his time coming back. I don't even know what we're going to do about Glass now, but my belief is that we'll see him again, and it's just keeping him in bubble wrap until the end of the season. I know we can piece it together. We can still win the division, but um, I think the ultimate thing is his health in September and October, and they have to really put that as the priority. It is when you look at the outings like Mizorowski, I don't know like how he can keep on throwing the way he's throwing and still stay okay, but he's young and he's doing it. Skeens, incredible. We're he's it's an uphill battle. And it doesn't mean it won't happen in the future, but I don't think that, it should be the priority right now. I think our priority is if we have this window to three-peat, let's three-peat, and he can still have a chance later on. I also want to get your take on Roki because of the series that came out after the Diamondbacks. You have the Angel series. This is where I think I put it in the text chain that we're all in, that, you, like we said before on the show, keeping your faith in him paid off because he had one of his best outings during that series. 7 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, and he hit over 100 a couple times. This past week he had a tougher outing, but he's looking good. We know he's not going to the bullpen. We know he's not going to be sent down to AAA. We already know this. We discussed that. But I'm looking at kind of like the second half of the season like we were just talking about, and let's pretend we're already at the end of the season. In your mind, what would be considered a Roki successful 2026 season, looking back and being like, okay, if he did this, this was considered a success, and is he on that trajectory right now?
He's definitely on the trajectory considering how his season started in spring training, where he was not able to escape any of those early on innings. For me, I think success would be. I hate to jump the gun, but I think this is already trending towards a successful season considering where he was at the start of it. For me, I think, man, it's going to be hard for him to get a rotation spot in the playoffs unless there's like major injury and we're missing 2 of our big pieces and stuff like that. But for
Mhm.
me, I think if he pitches in any of the playoff series, whether it's a DS or a CS, I think that's a success because you
Mm.
can view it as okay, this guy was a highly touted prospect coming from Japan. Things didn't go his way his first year. He battled through a lot of injuries, but he fought his way back into that bullpen. He
Yeah.
kind of had to prove himself again in spring training, wasn't guaranteed a starting spot. A lot of people were kind of considering sending him back to the minor leagues. For me, I think success would be if he just continues to have very good outings. I'm not looking at numbers, wins or losses, stuff like that. As his last start was a really bad start, but it's kind of been a blip considering what he's been doing the past month or so. So for me, that's kind of like okay, that's the ebbs and flows in baseball. You had a bad start, learn
Mhm.
from it. How do you improve from it? And if he comes out in his next outing and he's dominant again, I'm like okay, that was a very good test for him. He realized he failed at this start, but he was able to rebound and say he went 6 innings and he was dominant over those 6 innings, giving up only 2 hits or 3 hits and stuff like that. So that's some hypothetical numbers. But for me, I think his season's already been a success considering where he was starting and where he was unfortunately trending before he was able to bounce back there.
I like that you said that because I think Roki is one of the people that I think we how we used to talk about Pajes. There was a time when people wanted every time he had a bad, at bat at the plate, people were like, send him back, send him. And look at where he is now. The guy's probably going to be a shoe in for All Star, and we are obsessed with him in center field. He's incredible. Yeah, every player is not going to be perfect 100% of the time, but I really think that Roki knows that they have confidence in him and it's showing. He may, take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but he is still going forward. It may not be at the shooting, himself to the moon like everyone wants to see, but that's just not the reality of baseball. Baseball is a game of failure a lot of times, and you have to work through that. We are seeing it. But speaking of Pajes, he has 15th homer in one of the more recent series, and he is second in the NL with 56 RBIs. I adore him. And is he going to get a bobblehead this year? They keep dropping all these bobbleheads. Why do we?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if he does. He really is deserving of a bobblehead considering he kind of saved our bacon at the end of the World Series in Game 7. He's done a lot to earn an all-star opportunity. I'm happy that he's leading in that category. I remember last year the conversations we were having, like this guy deserves to be at the all-star game as a replace and maybe injury replacement. And now he's kind of jumped all those expectations, and like now he deserves to be there as a starter. It's funny because again, I've mentioned all-star games. I want these guys to be all-stars, but I also don't want them to play in this game. I kind of just want them to show up, take pictures, do all the media stuff, play an inning or two, and then legs up, icing, and like head off to wherever destination you're gonna rest for the rest of the week and stuff like that. But I wonder if he's gonna do the home run derby because he does have a lot of home runs, and typically those guys with the high home run numbers are the ones who get invited to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll do it necessarily, considering that
Mhm.
They did change the home run derby format today. It's going to be a swing thing. Basically, you get 20 swings for round one, 15 the next, and 15 going forward. So we'll see if he's interested in doing it. I know Tail did it, so maybe he might kind of egg him on and be like, "Hey, can you be a home run derby champion?" Stuff like that. Hopefully not. I really don't want him to kind of. I know the jinx of like, oh, if he participates in the home run derby, he's gonna
Right.
break his swing, and I didn't believe that at first. And then Jock Peterson did it a couple years in a row, and he kind of broke his swing. But there was no other better player in October than Jock Peterson, Jocktober, and stuff like that. So I really don't believe in that. I think a second half slump is gonna happen regardless of who you are. If you have a really good first half, typically the second half is kind of when guys figure you out and stuff like that, and just the fatigue of the season kind of catches up, and those dog days of the summer kind of catch up and stuff like that. So for me, Andy Pajes is deserving of that all-star nod. I'll be happy to watch him, and I hope he does get it.
I do too. I mean, maybe they're still dropping bobbleheads. We'll talk about more towards the end of the show, but I really think that they're how can they ignore the Kike Hernandez, Andy Pajes, drop at the end of the season? I just think it's too good of an opportunity to make money. Just like everything's at the end of the day, it's about making money. Yeah, I'll be there and they make my money, but one person who is probably, has good numbers for All-Star. We love him. He's been All-Star for so many years. Freddie, while you were gone, he got his 2,500. I believe he's 2,500 hit, 97th player to hit that milestone in both NL and AL history. And I guess the talk is he going to play enough years to even make it to 3,000? Even if he didn't, the guy's going to Cooperstown. Do we want him resting though? All-Star break as well.
Yeah, I do. The debate with Freddie Freeman now is basically, can he get to 3,000 hits? I think for the most part, most of us know that he's going to be that consistent hitter and stuff like that. This is why the potential work stoppage kind of like upsets me, because he might come short because of
Mhm.
that. And he already is probably going to come short because we lost 100 so games because of COVID and stuff like that. So potentially it's just probably not written in the books for him. And again, I don't see Freeman kind of going over the limit and exerting himself. He's already kind of like speculated that like this might be it. He's kind of happy at where he's at. He's at peace with where his career has become, one of the greatest first basemen of all time, one of the greatest Dodgers of all time, a legendary figure when it comes to postseason and World Series success and stuff like that. I don't know if that figurative number of 3,000 really means a lot to him. He talks a lot about how he kind of just wants to spend time with his boys and his daughter now. So ultimately, I think he's slowly coming to peace with terms in his towards his latter end of his career. And if he does get it, awesome. If he doesn't, I think he could care less at this point as well too, because ultimately, when he does decide to hang it up, the next phone call he gets will be from Cooperstown.
I think players just know too. I think that, you have players that have played into like 15 and 20 seasons in, multiple sports. And I mean, LeBron, I think he's going to come back, but like, people like Kobe, people like Kershaw, you have these incredible legends that play into a time in their life when, although 30s and early 40s is not old in athletic years, it is. Put your body through that grind is a lot. And Freddie, every time he gets a home run, I'm so happy because then he can just jog around the bases and not have to, slide and do all these heavy things to his body because they're older. But the one that I wanted to just kind of talk about as we get more into the more recent series is the White Sox. The White Sox have been red hot, Anthony. They've been, I guess, I think ever since the new Pope, has been a White Sox fan. They have been absolutely blessed. And tons of
Yeah.
games. I really think there's something to that. But our old pal Miguel Vargas, it's been just wonderful for him over there because at first he did not look happy to be sent away from the Dodgers, and it looks like he's really found his stride over there. So we're extremely happy for him. I really do like the White Sox. That was the most recent series that we lost. They beat us 2-1, and it was really just two really bad innings, that one on Friday and the one on Sunday. One of the players, though, that gave up just ridiculous amount of runs recently, why we lost the first game against the Sox, was Jack Dreyer, who I've always loved. I've loved Jack Dreyer. He has given up 5 home runs in 7 games, and it has been a struggle. His most recent outing wasn't too bad, but he's been struggling when he comes out. What do you make of him? And do you think that you need to put him in a special column in your upcoming bullpen dog meter that you're going to make?
Yeah, the meter has fallen off because I was off for those 2 weeks, so I got to kind of re-gauge on all these guys. But for me, I think it's just a rough patch. In the bullpen, a lot of these guys go through a very rough patch, and unfortunately, his rough patch is rough. He's giving up home runs at a very alarming rate. You did mention his last outing was very good, so hopefully that's kind of him figuring it out, kind of turning the corner, whether he was tipping pitches or he was kind of just flat on his command and all that. So Jack Dreyer is going to be one of those big pieces because he's another lefty guy apart with Avesia and stuff like that. But Vesia, I would prefer to use in higher leverage situations compared to a Jack Dreyer. Jack Dreyer is going to kind of be that guy potentially in the sixth inning, maybe setting up a seventh inning before we get to our bigger dogs going forward. But for me, it is alarming. The home runs is alarming. I hope he's figured it out, but I think it was going to happen because they went on that stretch where they were kind of unhittable. They were very dominant. Had that scoreless inning streak. They even mentioned it in a few broadcasts, like the bullpen just doesn't want to talk about it because they don't want to jinx themselves, and they kind of just want to get it over with because it's kind of getting a little bit too much pressure early on in the season. So
Mm.
hopefully that little stretch of dominance is something that we'll see further on later on in the season when they really have to lock in and stuff like that. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a rest versus rust thing. I would love the bullpen to kind of not. They've been very good at kind of not overworking them this season. There have been a few bullpen games just out of necessity where the first one that comes to mind is where Glass now leaves the game very early in that second inning and Houston and
Right.
the bullpen kind of just has to come in. He's like, okay, I guess it's a bullpen game now. We kind of just have to go out there and compete. So they've been better at that. We do have a lot of bullpen arms on the mend, on the rise, and stuff like that. So hopefully this is just kind of like, okay, they were really good for a good stretch of the season. This is just an unfortunate stretch of the season where they're really bad. They're not really that bad as a collective, but it's just individual spot marks here and there where they're bad.
The truth is, nothing's bad. We're actually the most blessed, fortunate franchise where we're
Yeah.
picking up the littlest of things because everything is so wonderful. But one of the things that just killed me, and you know this because I think you said you didn't want to jinx it, that's why you didn't watch, but you saw our text Jenga. I hate when people start talking about it online because I feel like that's just a curse. It happened a year ago with the Orioles. It happened again, Anthony. Ninth inning, White Sox, Yamamoto dealing this past weekend, and he was having up until the eighth inning a perfect game, something that has not happened since 1965. And poor Mookie error and stopped the perfect game, but the no hitter still possible. Yamamoto comes out ninth inning and gives up a home run to Tristan Peters. It's over. And it's right at the very end. I think we were all already imagining that moment. He had, a high pitch count, but not high enough that he couldn't leave, that he'd have to leave the game. It did not happen. Anthony, tell me, is Yamamoto either this season or upcoming season, are we going to see the perfect game or no hitter from him?
Yeah, he's just saving them for the playoffs, kind of like Roy Halladay did. It's very funny reliving this game because it was my last day in Mexico, and I knew he was on the bump, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm missing out a Yamamoto bump day. So I kind of just put it in the back of my mind, like, okay, they're playing the White Sox, he should go out there and dominate. And typically, when games are on, because I have a million sports apps, so I'll get updates throughout
Yeah.
the game, whether it's like, okay, first inning, stuff like that, who scored. The MLB app's good at who's scoring. So I saw that they were up. I'm like, okay, they were up. They should be able to see this through. And then I think it was I don't know if it was producer Raj who's it was the first message I saw because I was
I,
kind of like, yeah, I was kind of like reading messages, but I really wasn't. I was kind of just like, okay. And then I got another message again from my buddy. He's like, yo, like he's doing something.
yeah.
Like he said he's doing something, and I'm like, okay. Immediately I thought no hitter because I assume okay he's gonna be doing the no hitter, and then I didn't think about it any further. I'm like okay he might get the no hitter, but the way you guys were just communicating through text, I'm like no, this is more than just a no hitter. He probably might be out there throwing a perfecto. So again, not being able to watch the game.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't want to be blamed for it if I threw it on and like, okay, I'm the jinx because I threw it on during the sixth inning. I think that's kind of like one of those unwritten rules. If you kind of have to hop on before the fifth inning. If you're not watching a no hitter in progress after the fifth inning, you cannot watch. You cannot watch because no, that's just bad luck, bad juju. Again, I said I'm not superstitious, but that's kind of one of those like, okay, if I'm not watching it live, I just can't hop in and watch the last 3 outs because I'm gonna feel awful if he doesn't get it. Uh, Luckily for Kershaw's perfecto, I had watched from beginning to end, and I was basically frozen in fear throughout like the entirety of it. Josh Beckett's another good example of that because that's kind of like the old school one where he kind of just went out there and was gonna go until he went and his arm basically blew out and stuff like that. For no hitters and perfectos, I'm kind of very, I don't want to say anything. Like and
Yeah.
like during the regular season, during a regular game, I'll talk. I'll be talking about the game, talking about life, like what's going on. Hey, like let's like have a conversation. But like when it gets nitty gritty and it gets serious, like it's dead silent. Like I'm just gonna let the broadcast talk. And I know there's like that broadcast jinx and stuff like that. Like they'll mention Yamamoto now threw up, 6 down, and they just keep adding and adding. I'm like that makes me nervous in itself because now I'm counting outs and like now I'm like okay, can he get through the 7th? Cool. Can
Yeah.
he get through the 8th? And unfortunately, no. Mookie Betts, I know I was kind of making fun of him there for a second, but a million out of 100 plays, if you give him that opportunity, I bet you he makes 99 of them. It's just
Does.
unfortunate that it was this one that kind of ate him up a little bit. Uh, it almost kind of saved them because the ball just kind of ricocheted to Espinal right there at the end, but with a fast runner, it was going to be impossible to get him there. I was kind of it was a heartbreaking way to lose it, and it just the ninth inning was kind of just hilarious because he just gave it up right immediately right after. So, and you can tell right away Yoshi had no hard feelings. He kind of just looked out at Betts. You can tell Betts was kind of like he didn't really show emotion, but you could tell it was eating at him because like God damn, I can't believe I'm the one to kind of give this up. And a lot of players mention it too when it's a perfecto or a no hitter. Like, please don't hit me the ball. Please don't hit me the ball. Please don't hit me the ball because they don't want to be the one who messes it up potentially. It's kind of a different pressure because we talk about pressure a lot in the playoffs. Yeah, there's a ton of pressure. There will be no higher pressure than a game 7, especially in the World Series on the road.
Mhm.
But this is a different type of pressure because now that guy on the mound is depending on you to play defense perfectly, basically. And now throughout the games, they probably are in their own head thinking about the next play and stuff like that. And all of a sudden now you're like laser focused. Every out means basically the end of the world if you don't get it. So I wonder what that mindset is as a player. I'll never experience it because I'm not a player, but it's a different kind of pressure because now solely the happiness of my team, the happiness of the individuals out there on the mound grinding relies solely on me if I misplay this ball and stuff like that. So you can tell right away the team kind of went to Mookie and telling like, hey man, just shake it off. There'll be plenty of other opportunities for this moment to happen. It'll probably be a lot specialer if it happened at home compared to on the road. I think on the road he would have gotten a nice ovation, but could you imagine if that would have been at Dodger Stadium? The thing that always lasts with me mentally is that Kershaw's no hitter was at home, and like the
Yes.
highlight of it, the crowd just exploding, his teammates kind of like jumping all over him, pouring all the Gatorade and stuff like that, and Vince Scully kind of letting the moment live. And that's
Mhm.
kind of one of those things that etches in my head forever. So
Could be.
again, it would have been special if he was able to accomplish it, but selfishly, I would rather have him accomplish that at home.
I think that's one of my first thoughts when it didn't happen. I was trying to console myself as if I had anything to do with it. But one, that Mookie doesn't have to carry that weight because Yamamoto gave up his own home run in the ninth inning. So if that was Mookie that had completely broken that up, and then aside from that, Yamamoto would have had his no hitter. Mookie would have felt bad not letting him have the perfect game. And also, too, yeah, at home would be amazing. Maybe you and I will be there when it happens, and that's just kind of written in the stars one day. And I think I will cry the biggest tears if I'm ever getting to see something like that, because the only and last perfect game that has ever been in Dodgers history was Sandy Koufax, September 9th, 1965. And of course, we saw Kershaw's no hitter in 2014. So we've seen some big moments, but having something like that happen, I think it'll be Yoshi, and I do think it'll be at Dodger Stadium. When, who knows? But the man is so close, and I really do feel like it's inevitable. just an amazing pitcher. We are so lucky to have him. But yeah, we went out right onto the Rays series. That was the most recent one. We swept them. I was kind of ho hum about the series. I don't know what it was. I just kind of like what you said at the top of the show. I'm not real worried about losing a game here and there. I'm more locked into like competitive sports right now and kind of more interested in that. But I just know that we're going to ultimately go to the playoffs, and I just care about health at this point, the health of our players. But we are right now best run differential in MLB with a plus 144. We have a 9-game division lead in in the NL West, and I kind of just wanted to get your take on kind of your thoughts on the Padres. I don't know if you heard what Manny Machado said. It was a real funny comment when you were gone about him not really thinking that numbers and analytics should have a big place in the game. Did you catch what he said about kind of not even understanding the numbers and need to have explained to him? And is he just talking out of his you know what because his numbers look like shit right now, and he just of course is going to blame the numbers?
He definitely is. I did see that quote, and I laughed at it. The other, he's very good quote giver. The other one that comes to mind is when they got eliminated in the wild card series against the Cubs last year. He's like, "What are my thoughts on the season? We lost." That's a very that's a. I'll give him credit for that because that's a very real and honest like answer. I'm like, sometimes you get the very PR like, "Oh, I thought we played well as a team all season. We deserve to do better." No, that was an actual very honest and real answer. That's very raw emotion coming out for him. The whole numbers thing, yeah, I agree with him slightly. Yeah, there is a lot of numbers. There's sometimes you look at a number and you look at a chart and like, what the hell is this chart trying to tell me anyway? But ultimately, with the Padres, the number that sticks out the most is the amount of money they have on those contracts between him, Tatis, Xander Bogarts, etc. And you still fail to reach even to be a competitive team. You're still far back behind the rest of the competition. And you look around, it's not even us. If you just eliminate us from the picture, other teams have gotten younger, other teams have gotten better. If you look at the Braves, the Braves, if you told me to pick a team to fear from like this moment going forward, I look at Atlanta. I think Atlanta is going to be a very tough out come to it. I know originally when the season started, I picked the Cubs, but I no longer fear the Cubs because I think the Cubs are the for me the tell of a good team is do you beat yourself or you don't beat yourself. And I think the Braves in a 7-game series against them won't find ways to beat themselves. You kind of have to take the fight to them and find a way to beat them
Mhm.
comparatively to a team like this is going to be awesome when like the Cubs beat us in the playoffs and I'm like they come back to this clip specifically. I think the Cubs are susceptible to being beaten by themselves, and no better example of like a player like PCA making all sorts of mental errors out in the outfield. They can beat themselves. A team that doesn't beat themselves, they scare me. Like at like the Blue Jays of last year, they really didn't beat themselves. They kind of beat themselves up in that last game, but it took a lot of good fortune as well in our end to kind of go that way. So for me, yeah, the conversation with Machado and all the numbers and stuff like that, I look at the rest of the teams around baseball, at least on the National League side, because you eventually have to be a National League winner to get to the World Series. A
Mhm.
lot of teams have gotten younger. A lot of teams have gotten smarter as well too, as the way they implement certain strategies and stuff like that. Well, analytically and stuff like that. Yeah, he can complain all he wants about the analytics, but the analytics tell the story for the length of a season. And we've mentioned in the prior years, yeah, the Dodgers tended to rely heavily on it and ultimately it became their downfall throughout the early 2010s and all that because they just relied way too heavily on the analytics when it came to October and stuff like that. And we all have learned from that and realized, okay, yeah, the numbers do tell the length of a story throughout the season. But in the playoffs, if X player who normally is a 210 hitter is batting 450 in the playoffs, I have to game plan against him specifically different because he's not that player that he was in the regular series season. It's very obvious that he lives up to the big moments and he can play in this level and he deserves to be here. And now I have to treat him like he's an all-star. I can't just ignore the short sample size. We say the playoffs are the most important part of the season, and I think a lot of teams realize, okay, as long as we get there, we got a shot at potentially winning it all. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's talent will override everything, but how many times have we said it before? The Dodgers have been the best baseball team throughout the whole regular season and have nothing to show for it. The past 2 years are kind of have gone our way where okay, we've proven that we can play in the regular season. How can we game plan specifically for the postseason and kind of flip the outcome in our favor? And we finally, I think, figured out that code. Like, okay, yes, we do prioritize health in the long run. Yeah,
Mhm.
we might throw away a just a nothing series here in the regular season, but we're looking at the bigger picture because I don't want my guy to be tired when it comes to it. No better example of Yamamoto being fresh and being ready to sacrifice for the team. Ultimately, yeah, there is a lot of numbers, but a lot of those numbers are very beneficial when it comes to it, a long season and stuff like that.
Well, I think so. I think also the Dodgers have figured out a formula that has worked the last couple of years. I mean, we get frustrated because, we do see that the second that someone, sneezes wrong, it's like, okay, you're on the IL. But we also know that they're piecing it together properly because everyone has to be healthy at the right time because health is a huge factor. Being ready is a huge factor. The numbers are a huge factor. And then you have to add luck. Like whoever gets into the playoffs also has to have a lot of things go their way too, because sometimes the best team doesn't always win, the best team on paper. So it's a combination of things. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're being so extra careful with Will Smith right now and his injury. We have Chucky Robinson up. I mean, will my Ben Wart vet make a reappearance in my life, Anthony? Do you think that there's a chance that we see it?
No, I don't think there's a chance. I did see, yeah, I think the Will Smith thing is a little concerning, especially when you talk about a player's neck and stuff like that. But for me, I'm hopeful they're kind of just taking the long term role what they've done with all these guys, with the Tommy Edman, with the Kike before he re-injured himself, stuff like that. With the Mookie Betts early on with that oblique, like, hey, um, we know you could probably grind through it, but is it really necessary? We have a 20 game, not 20 game, we're 20 games above 500. Do you really want to go grind it out? And then next thing you know, in October, is something flares up, and now we lose you for the whole rest of the playoffs and stuff like that. So for me, I rather him kind of just like, okay, it's going to be an annoying month where you have to rehab, you have to do all this tedious work just to get back to the player you were before that, stuff like that. So for me, again, it's going to be the theme of the season. If someone like just feels something in their back or their shoulder or something, and be like, okay, let's shut it down for 2 3 weeks and let's see where we're at after that. If you really had to, you could be out there, but we really don't want to have you out there. So we're going to give a young guy an opportunity to kind of step up and see if he can play at this level or not.
Yeah. And I know that that's ultimately the plan. And so I'm trusting it because I've gotten, I think, a little more confident that they know way more than we know. We can probably have a pretty good estimate of what they're doing, but they really know they got to have certain key players ready at that time. One of the things that's going to be the big news coming up in the next month, it's been the talk of a lot of the sports and MLB programs, is the idea. I mean, it's just gaining traction. Tarik Skubal is likely to be traded based on how the Tigers are doing right now. And it is reported that their GM, Scott Harris, is going to listen to teams that can offer him the best package. So cue the Dodgers. Now you talk about a team like the Braves, who we know that, they can be a little pesky at that time of year, depending on how they're doing. Someone's going to go all in. I think regardless of if there's an extension on the table or not, if it's just a rental, if someone thinks that Tarik Skubal can put them over the edge, and by the way, he's back and he's gonna perform. He's a key piece. They're going to do it. Now, do you think that with the Dodgers and their depth, who really we have it, we have the ability to make a package? In fact, Dave Roberts was saying that everyone will go ballistic, but we have the capital to do it. Are we in about a month and a half's time, Anthony, going to be talking about Tarik Skubal and Dodger Blue? What do you think?
Right now, my gut answer is no,
Mm,
just because there's a months and a half's time from here to there. So immediately my answer is no. That's kind of just like where I'm trending. Now,
okay.
if you were to ask me again, like 2 weeks before the deadline, I think my opinion might change. Just right now, it's kind of like, okay, it's probably no. Yes, we do have the capital, but are we willing to go all in without the possibility of an extension at the end of the season? And who knows what happens if there even is a season next year or not. I'm kind of operating as the under the assumption that no, we will not be playing baseball next season. So ultimately, right now, my mind says no. My gut, though, kind of wants it to be, yeah, let's kind of just go all in. Let's three-peat, and whatever happens next year, screw it. I got 3 championships, and I can watch those highlights for the rest of the year, basically, from every single year of those championships. Now, the packages that I've seen, kind of like hypothetically, what the Dodgers might offer, it's actually not a lot. But again, considering that he is at the end of his contract. He is going to be a free agent. He can walk. It makes sense why we're not kind of giving up the entirety of the farm. We can kind of give up hypothetically a Sheehan, hypothetically a Robleski, and if you go down to the minor leagues and you look at guys like Tibbs, DePaula, I'm just throwing those names out hypothetically speaking. A Hope, I think you can get this deal over the line without having to sacrifice the entirety of your farm system. You might have to give up a few, but hey, in every trade you always have to give up a few things here and there in order to kind of come out on the successful side of it. Right now, I'm gonna tell you no, I just don't see it happening. I would like to see a little bit more baseball being played.
Mm,
Uh, but again, you did mention them. I think the Braves would be enticed to kind of go like, okay,
so,
he would kind of solidify our starting rotation and kind of adds another layer to the rotation of Sale, a Bryce Elder, etc. Um, I think that's the only real threat I see in like, okay, who can really match with the Dodgers hypothetically for a Skubal trade? Yeah, I know there's other teams involved and stuff like that, but the Braves might view this as their one best shot in this window of kind of getting another championship, especially underneath of Matt Olson, etc., and that fan base they've had. They've already won a world championship in this decade, so it'll kind of solidify themselves. Like, okay, the best two teams of the decade were definitely the Los Angeles Dodgers, but also the Atlanta Braves, because now they would have two championships underneath their belt as well. So it's going to be interesting over the next month to see who kind of bites first, who kind of overpays and stuff like that. I think the Dodgers, if they do make any moves, will be for pitching. I just don't see it making any moves for any like bench guys and stuff like that. I think they're too deep offensively to kind of like add a batter here or there. Maybe a catcher if like Will Smith's health doesn't really kind of like improve. It just because they don't want to go with a young catcher like rushing. Maybe they'll trade for another veteran catcher, etc. But ideally, I think the only move they'll make would be for pitching. But it's going to be interesting to see if they really do want it or not.
so we don't really have a ton of needs if you take out like kind of the whole Scoobal situation. I really feel like, just a matter of keeping our current players healthy. So it might be a quiet trade deadline, but you never know. I think a lot of things can change in a month and a half, as we know in baseball. But yeah, turning our attention to what's going to come right before that, it is going to be the All-Star break. The All-Star game itself is on July 14th at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. And voting is right now through June 25th. And then I think phase two runs through July 2nd. People that are going to likely, get the big numbers. We know Ohtani. Okay. Pages, Muncy, and Freeman, and we'll see what else happens. But I really think that, it's going to be a time of rest and reset for our Dodgers, hopefully. But yes, they all deserve to be All-Stars. We have a freaking All-Star team. But I want to get your attention or kind of your thoughts on the drop that just came out with Clayton Kershaw and even Luka Doncic. We're going to have a Dodger bobblehead night. They added, and we know it was Lakers Dodgers now, total crossover. August 21st. It's a really cute bobblehead. What did you think of that? And then the Kershaw one, the last out, is the design they dropped.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be attending both of them. I think most of the games this season, well, this middle part, I wasn't really going to be attending them, but I did say at the start of it that I would go to a Kershaw bobblehead game just because I don't have his bobblehead. It'd be kind of cool to see him one last time, not as a player, but as a fan. As we've seen in the earlier on this season, he's gone as a fan. It's been pretty awesome to kind of see him there as a fan. And the Doncic one as well too. I've been to the Kobe one. I have the LeBron one, which I see as bobblehead right there. It'd be kind of a fitting kind of cap to that trio. I don't think it's going to be the last Laker bobblehead. I think Shaq has one. I think
Weekend.
within a week or two, I think his bobblehead night's going to come up. So and it's very cool to see that merger of the two teams kind of like it slowly was happening and now I think it's kind of like been fully embraced and hopefully this isn't the last time they have bobblehead stuff like that. And hopefully the Lakers kind of figure some stuff out and they're able to win some championships because it's fun to have that little like conversation of like, is this a Laker town? Is this a Dodger town? And I'm saying this is just a Los Angeles town. We're the
Yeah.
town of winning.
Yeah, and we didn't bring it up. I'll have to bring it up future episode. Miles Garrett has joined my Rams, Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can tell you're a fan.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy because he doesn't have to play against my Steelers anymore. So he's no longer a headache anymore. So
Nice.
yeah, but ultimately, winning is good for the city because it forces teams to not stay complacent.
True.
The Rams were ultimately they were basically right there. Unfortunately, the one wink leak they had was the defense, and what did they do? They improved it.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of like the theme for a lot of LA teams. A lot of good ownership and a lot of aggressive ownership too. They're not going to kind of sit at their laurels and kind of just like, okay, we had a great season, let's run it back. No, they'll acknowledge they had a great season. Yeah, getting to the conference final game is a great season, but ultimately you came up short. Ultimately, how do we improve? Okay, I see what I want. I see a very good player. Let me go get him, basically. So ultimately, winning is good because it provides competition for all these teams. I'm not just specifically talking about the Rams. I'm talking about the Lakers. I'm talking about the Dodgers. It always sucks when there was a rough patch there for the Dodgers and the Lakers where they just weren't winning anything, and it
Mhm.
was rough. You would go from a really mediocre Lakers season, and then okay, let's see what the Dodgers have, and the Dodgers would have a great season, and then what we talked about it and earlier on in the episode, they get to October and they fall flat, and you're like, oh well, that was underwhelming. And then this
Right.
is before the Rams were ultimately back in LA, or they were first kind of getting their feet wet. You were kind of like, do I really want to be a Rams fan? I don't really know. A lot of people kind of picked the team. I picked the team growing up, so I was like, okay, no, I'm staying committed to my team. And ultimately, the Rams weren't good to start, but they were kind of showing signs of improvement. Like, okay, this could be a thing. This is all right. And
Right.
they finally get over the hump, and the Dodgers finally get over the hump, and now you just ultimately need the Lakers to kind of get over the hump, and hopefully it's soon.
I think they're on that. But no, I feel like Cody said he's joining me in my Ramley. So I've already got him. I think I got him. He said he would. But yeah, definitely Stan Kroenke. He is an amazing owner and throwing money. And look at what the money SoFi is making, and his investments are paying off big time because it is a championship city. I think Myles Garrett knew that when he showed up to throw out the first pitch recently in his Kobe shirt. I mean, there's a lot of crossover for LA championships, but yeah, good things to come. I know Seahawks fans are melting down after that news, and I'm not mad at that. So the yay on that. But yeah, let's look ahead as we get the show rounded out. Orioles are up next. Lovely Orioles, not doing too well. Predicted to pitch. Our probables are Sasaki, Yamamoto, and Sheehan. What is your prediction for this week?
It would be funny if this time around Yamamoto got the no hitter here against the
Cool.
Orioles at home.
That perfect.
Um, but ultimately, I do think those three guys are going to be very, very good. I think Sasaki finds a way to bounce back. Yamamoto, we've discussed him already, and I'm interested to see what Sheehan has as well too. Just because I haven't seen him pitch in a while. Again, I wasn't able to watch him pitch in real time the past 10 days or so. But
Mm.
ultimately, I do think it's a series where we should win two of three. If they dropped one, I wouldn't be upset. It's just a matter if they got blown out, okay, chalk it up. Someone got shelled completely. But if they find a way to beat themselves, typically most of the Dodgers losses are the Dodgers found a creative way to lose this game, whether it was the bullpen or offensively or the starting pitching. But again, I'm not gonna hold it against it. Okay, quick turn around. Let's just try to get a win the next day and just kind of move forward. But ultimately, they should get two or three from this series here.
I love it. I'll be at the Yamamoto game. It's actually my brother's 30th birthday this weekend. He's a
Yeah.
mega Lakers fan. It's actually Shaquille O'Neal's going to be the Saturday bobblehead. So I definitely wanted to take him to that one. So happy birthday to my brother.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
He's my sports buddy. We watch almost everything together. So just shout out to him. Yeah. So final thoughts, Anthony, as we round out the show.
Final thoughts. The Dodgers have been awesome. It's again, we come on here. We haven't came on here in a while, but we kind of just nitpick little things here and there. It tends to be nitpicky things in here and there, but ultimately, we know what we're playing for. We're playing for October. We're playing for late September. We just need these guys to kind of not be the AARP Dodgers and kind of just stay healthy until then. So ultimately, just take it as it is. Every game means something, but it's not the end of the world if they drop one. Kind of just, okay, let's move on. Let's have fun and enjoy Dodger baseball.
And enjoy the World Cup. because there's a lot
Yeah.
of fun things that we're not going to see for another 4 years. And hosting it in the United States and the North American continents is a treat. Just good times. Welcome back to the streets of LA, Anthony. Missed you. Couldn't wait to talk to you again. So all good stuff. Don't forget to check out DodgersBeat.com. All the great articles that Steve Webb and Cody Snavely, they are giving you all the up-to-date information day in and day out. Don't forget to check out the Bleed Loss. Are we at 30,000, Anthony? While I plug this, I think we're really.
I'll check.
But
We're
don't forget,
close though.
I think we are. I checked a couple days ago. Like and subscribe if you're not already. We have all the latest Dodger news, clubhouse interviews. Producer Roger is giving it to you day in and day out on the Bleed Loss Podcast Network on YouTube. So thank you for all of you who are subscribed, for all the support. It has been an incredible couple years or a year and a half since Anthony and I have been a part.
We're at 29.7K, so we're close.
Okay, so it could happen by our next episode. Like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow our handles. You can find me, Drea, on Instagram and X at RivingClean1958. You can find Anthony on X and Instagram at @AnthonyAcosta_. And until next time, let's go Dodgers. Bye.
Go Dodgers.